Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner of Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner of Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickes, Commissioner of Precinct 3.
Here.
And J.D. Johnson, Commissioner of Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Tom Spencer from our tax office. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let us pray. On this day of decision-making, we pause to acknowledge you as Creator and Ruler. We praise you for you are King of Kings and Lord of Lords. We praise you because righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. We praise you because you are more powerful and more loving than we can imagine. We thank you for your word and that it's always true. We thank you for the hope that you have given us. We thank you for your guidance and instruction. We thank you for bringing us into the family business. Help us to walk with you along the paths of peace, knowing there will be difficulties along the way, but that we can face them confidently in your strength. Help us to learn to thank you for each problem we encounter and watch how you transform trials into blessings. Teach us the only reason we have to worry is when we try to be in charge. Rather, when you are in charge, worry is both unnecessary and counterproductive. Guide our thoughts and decisions this day. For it's in Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one agenda announcement and one additional announcement as it relates to a meeting this afternoon. The first announcement on the agenda is under the Administrator section, item 8A3. It's a settlement agreement. We're going to ask that that be considered after closed session today. And then, Your Honor, and members of the court, this afternoon at 2 o'clock, the IT Steering Committee is meeting, and it is meeting on the second floor of the Family Law Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of January the 12th.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Wynn. Motion passes unanimously. We have a couple proclamations and then some recognition. I believe Commissioner Brooks, you have the first proclamation.
I do, Your Honor, and it is in recognition of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which celebrations we held throughout the weekend and particularly yesterday on the birthday holiday. This community was tremendously engaged, and I thought overall it went very well, and I'd like to congratulate Roderick Miles, who was in charge of the Fort Worth parade and rally at Sundance Square. So I move approval of the...
Second. We have a motion, and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickes.
Yes, we have a congratulatory resolution for Randy Morrissey, who is retiring from North Hills Hospital, and we'll be presenting that this evening. I move its approval.
We have a motion, and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And now I'll call on Larry Wilson to come up and to recognize our Leadership Development Program participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're here today to recognize the 2015 Leadership Development participants. They go through a year-long monthly class meeting. They do a project outside in another area of county government outside their own work assignment. They do a presentation on that project for their peers and anyone else who would want to show up on that day. And we have 9 people completing today that we would like to introduce to the court.
Thank you.
And as I call your names, we will have you come up and receive a plaque and make a circle here under the commissioner's bench. First one is Brian Harris. Facilities. Next is Lisa McCamey Utah. Lisa's with Public Health. Next is Annie Munoz. Also Public Health. I need the judge to help me with this one.
That's why I was laughing.
Okay. Seki Neely. Sarah Neely.
Now, it's not that I doubt your
IT.
pronunciation on that deal, but I would kind of like to hear her.
Sari.
Sri Neely.
The whole,
Oh, Sri Lakshmi Neely.
congratulations. Not to you, Larry.
Okay. Melanie Peterson. Melanie is with CSCD. Susan Reyes. Juvenile Services. Catherine Rotter. And where's she?
County Judge's Office. Commissioner's Office.
Thank you. Chris Sladdick. Chris is with Precinct 3.
Go, Chris.
Sandra Sosa. Sandra's with Facilities. And this is the last one, Devin Winsky. Precinct 3 Commissioner's Office.
She doesn't look like, Devin.
Good job.
Good job, Devin.
Ms. Farmer is going to take your
You're
picture.
gonna have to keep moving around there, you're gonna have to keep shifting.
May have to make 2 rows. I guess so. Need a right angle.
I want to get the commissioner's faces, JD was fine. Okay, thank you, that's perfect. Now, looks like you're glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, we'll reconvene in the hallway.
Thank y'all again. Congratulations. Thank you for your hard work. Look for a motion to receive and file the recognition.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to receive and file. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McMillan is going to do the first item.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Last year, the City of Euless came before us and briefed us on a
tax increment reinvestment zone, the Midtown TIF. They're zone number 4. This is a 56-acre TERS in the area east of Highway 157, south of 183, and north of Highway 10. This tax increment financing reinvestment zone will provide funding necessary for infrastructure and site improvements to support the revitalization and redevelopment of the area, which, as you can see, is currently comprised of several deteriorated apartment complexes surrounded by some larger tracts of vacant land. As proposed, the project's cost will be about $16.5 million that will be funded by the TERS over a 30-year period. This will provide for private development of mixed-use residential, multifamily, retail, restaurant, and commercial development, which is valued and estimated to be valued at over $122 million over the time period. The City of Euless is participating at 75% of its incremental tax revenues and also including 25% of the sales tax that will be generated from within the zone. The attached agreements that you have in your packet provide for the county and hospital district participation for a period of 25 years, with the county contribution at 75% of its incremental revenue for the first 15 years and lowering to 50% for the final 10 years. The hospital district participation is in at 50% for the first 15 years and lowering to 35% for the remaining 10 years. The college district will also be participating at 50%. Through the life of the TIF, it is estimated then that the City of Euless will be contributing approximately $13.7 million, and the county and hospital district will be in at approximately $5.1 million for the county and $3 million for the hospital district. These will be the cap amounts. So when it will either be for the 25-year period or until we reach these maximum amounts contribution. In your package today, we're asking that you approve the resolution and participation agreements which provide for the county and hospital district participation in the City of Euless Tax Increment Financing Reinvestment Zone number 4, the Midtown TERS, through the payment into the zone's tax increment fund of certain tax revenues produced by the incremental real property values within the TIF zone as set forth in the agreements. I do want to note that we did find a typo which has been corrected. The citation for the section 311-0125, I think, was in there, and it was supposed to be 013. We have made that correction. It is included in the electronic agenda. It's been corrected on the resolution and in the executed copies. So we're asking for your approval of this today.
I move approval.
I second.
I waited.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I'll take care of you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Before we can go to item number 2, we're requesting that the court receive and file a letter to the Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association, their Continuing Education Committee, certifying the completion of briefing sessions for calendar year 2015 that may be used by Commissioner Johnson towards the annual requirement for continuing education hours.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I need it.
Sure you do.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Snyder. Okay, I don't remember seeing you on those crutches the last time I saw you. What happened?
Just a surgery. I'll be okay.
Didn't sound that way. Risk Management Board is recommending the payment of a claim, 2 parts to it, subrogation to Allstate Insurance, and to the claimant himself, Michael O'Brien, and the amount shown on your court communication.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning.
David.
It's requested that Commissioners Court approve a contract with GSBS Architects for architectural and engineering services related to the Tim Curry Criminal Justice Building, 7th and 8th floors, inmate holding cells project.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. So this is in our budget. What is it, about 2.5 million? Is that the total cost of just the engineering, or is that just what you estimate to be the total cost?
Total cost of the project. And we think the actual work will be 1.5, 1.6, something like that. Then we have some elevator work. We'll need to bring some of the rails and things up to the 6th and 7th and 8th floors where they're not today.
Well, there were several floors in the past.
That's correct. So there's quite a bit of elevator work.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Glenn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have several items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item, we're asking the court to approve an out-of-class pay extension for community development. This one should look familiar to you. This will be the 8th extension. If granted today, this is the case where the supportive housing manager assumed the duties of the assistant director back in February of 2014. If approved, again, this extension would actually take us through February of this year. There are minimal costs to the grant, and of course those costs are offset by salary savings, and I see a couple of puzzled looks. Ms. Ward tells us that she continues to seek resources so that she can actually fill the assistant director's position on a full-time basis. She's not yet identified those resources, but she continues to look.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions?
Yeah. Patricia, the typical resource for filling positions is the general fund. No?
Not with Tricia's program. Hers is all grant funded.
All grant funded. Never mind.
Just one quick comment, Tricia. We continue to see that the administrative pieces of the CDBG grants and all the other grants that Tricia manages continue to be less than what it takes for us to run the full staff. That's why Tricia keeps looking for additional monies to pay. We try to save as much money as we possibly can, but sometimes that's 10% of the grant amount, sometimes it's less than 10%. And we've noted a decrease in the overall grant amount in some areas, and that means that our administrative dollars continue to shrink. So Tricia continues to look for additional revenue dollars.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3, we're asking the court to approve a change to the table of organization to add a new project position to the county clerk's office. This project position would work, or the individual who would fill this position would work to continue to move the courts to a paperless system. And the cost for this position would be covered by the Records Preservation Fund.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our fourth and final item, I'm going to ask Ms. Worthy to come up and present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rob.
I am here to ask approval for participation in the Easy Ride Employer Bus Pass program with the Fort Worth Transportation Authority, or the T as we call it. This would allow our employees to purchase bus passes directly from the T at a discounted rate.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just that this does not include a subsidy from...
Yes, sir, that is
Tarrant
correct. No
County.
subsidies from Tarrant County.
Thank you. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I might mention on that particular item, Mr. Cruz from the DA's office played an integral part in drafting with the T the new contract language. I know Mr. Stallings also helped on that, and we appreciate that.
Thank you all both.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brooks, I believe you had an interlocal agreement.
I do. I would move, I've got two interlocal agreements, one with the town of Edgecliff Village, the other with the city of Benbrook. So I move approval of items 8H, 1A through D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments? You want to tell us what about or who it is or anything along that lines? Or just... Yeah, it just kind of jumped right out there, didn't it?
Long weekend, Your Honor.
Court members, you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 items to bring to the court this morning. The first is the monthly update by the hospital district. Mr. Early is here to address the court at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manius.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wanted to update you on 3 items. One is hugely important to us. It was important for our board to take this action, but the old VA hospital facility had vacant space, and we were able to reconfigure that space thanks to a grant from HHSC and our MHMR locally. I don't know how other MHMRs function in the state, but I will say that ours is one of the best. And their collaborative and cooperative spirit with us at JPS is phenomenal, and I appreciate their work and their effort. So what we were able to do is open up a new 36-bed facility at the old VA hospital. And within 11 days, we were able to get 44 psychiatric patients in that facility. Those are 44 patients that would have been in a longer wait or not been seen by JPS because of the overcrowding or the situation that we have in our current facility. What that will equate to is about 1,300 patients a year that we'll be able to see that we haven't been able to see because we just don't have the space. The other thing that's important about that is this will allow us to have more families have their care and be seen here locally than being transferred to the facility in Wichita Falls. And the challenge with transferring to Wichita Falls, it's longer term, we understand, but that also separates families from their loved ones. And it makes it that much more difficult when people have to go to Wichita Falls to see an individual who's needing help and care. So it's a wonderful situation. It's great. Our department, Wayne Young, and our psychiatric services department, Dr. Polowitz, and MHMR and HHSC has made a big difference in the lives of some folks, and we've seen huge changes in a very short period of time. So very
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would like to comment that this will, in addition to cutting down the wait time for service and keeping those needing service in our community, it will also keep our indigent citizens from having to be, some of our indigent citizens from having to be arrested and receiving their mental health services in the county jail.
Right.
They can receive them on a community-based basis.
I totally agree.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. The other thing our board discussed, which you have a lot of support among staff, and I think you have a lot of support amongst board members, is to how best do we make sure that we record and look at our meetings. And we're looking at that. The board took action, and many of you have expressed your interest in that, which we appreciate, and I appreciate very much. And so what we're looking at is how best we communicate with the public and every possibility of letting them know what takes place at JPS board meetings. Our board chair had good discussion on that. They've instructed staff to come back with options and possibilities at which we'll do. We'll take that to our planning committee and we'll begin to debate that. I will turn to Mr. Manius and talk about the system that you all have here in place, what it's like, and we'll look at different systems and figure out how we best create the level of understanding with our community about what goes on at JPS. The other thing that we're going to do in that same vein is we are going to begin to look at a redesign of our website. That's difficult. That's like redesigning a logo. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody has a voice. And so when you start making dishes in the kitchen that way, sometimes the food doesn't taste that good. But we're going to try our best to figure out how to redesign the website. And by redesigning the website, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to bring in citizens. And we're going to give them a series of questions and ask them to navigate through our current system and our current website and see if they can find the answers. And when they find difficulty, that will give us an indication of what we need to improve from a citizen standpoint of trying to navigate. Sometimes we navigate our own website, but we know what we're looking for and we know how to find it. If you're a citizen, you may have real challenges in trying to figure out how to do that. So I appreciate y'all's input and suggestions on how to do that. So we're going to do that. We're also going to look at redesigning our intranet, which will be for our 6,000 employees. And we're going to have a little segment on there, which is some things to give them better feedback and ideas of what's going on. As I mentioned to y'all last meeting, I conducted town hall meetings, and that came out in our town hall meetings, so very helpful. The other thing that our board has done, which I'm really proud of them, and Dr. Chuck Weber was really the navigator for this, and the guy who came up with this idea along with Dr. Frank Rosinia on our staff. And that is, our quality committee deals with some of the most important issues at JPS, and that is, what is happening with quality at JPS? How are we improving? How are we monitoring it? What are we doing? And taking the same page out of that website thought, we're going to ask 3 citizens to serve on our quality committee, our board quality committee, who will serve as ex officio members. And these are not just citizens, these are patients of JPS. So we can ask them, what's it like to navigate? We already incorporate a citizen advisory group for our community clinics. But now we're going to ask them to serve as ex officio members of our quality committee. And I think that input from citizens will be hugely important, particularly citizens who are patients. So we know exactly what they're seeing. Many of us are patients at JPS, who work at JPS, but I think it will be very helpful to have them in a structured setting in our quality committee. And so we discussed that at our board as well. So we had a good meeting, good suggestions, and I appreciate y'all's input in helping us come up with some of these ideas.
How are you going to choose these 3 patients?
We've already talked to some of the folks, and these are people that have expressed concerns about JPS in the past and have some suggestions for us. And we've begun to look at that list, and we're working through our patient relations department to figure out those folks who could give us some good input. And in addition to that is we're starting to incorporate our joint councils, which I established when I first came to JPS. And those represent a variety of folks from a diversity standpoint and get them involved in it as well.
Diversity of thought and opinion is what drove my question.
Yes, sir. And I think it would be helpful to have that because different folks are going to have different experiences at JPS, just the way they'll see things and witness things. So we're going to do the best that we can to have a very inclusive type process. And those folks can also shift in and shift out as well. This is not a set process. This is just to get input the best we can and give them a voice at our committee level.
Who makes up the quality committee? Just your heads of your various departments, or?
It's our board. It's a board quality committee meeting. We have quality committees that are through our med staff, and those are separate. But this is an actual board committee, and they look at quality, and then they ask staff and the physicians to come in and give their basic reports for the month.
What about your patient advocate?
We have patient advocacy that's involved. They're not an ex officio member of the committee, but they too are as well, and they make reports to the quality committee. Okay. So,
any other questions?
That's all I have for y'all today.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you all very, very much.
Good update. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, J.D.
On item B, this is a briefing concerning the Public Probate Administrator Pilot Project. Judge Ferkshall is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. See, I hope I can operate the sophisticated equipment here. Gentlemen, Judge Whitley and Commissioners, I come today to talk to you and respectfully request your consideration of a pilot program that will enable low-income and cash-strapped Tarrant County citizens to receive small inheritances from loved ones who die without a will. When one dies without a will in Texas, the legislature has provided a very detailed, tedious, and expensive process called administration. Heretofore, there has been no alternative to administration in Texas for small amounts of money, $5,000, for instance, or less. And in a recent legislative session, a bill was passed that added Texas as about number 26 in the states that have some form of public administration. We actually have a great law in Texas because it is permissive, so it's not something forced upon you. It's only in metropolitan areas where the needs are obviously the most voluminous. There will be a $10 fee added to the filing of any probate matter to pay for this. In other words, it's unlike some of the other projects you have so wisely approved today, this one is actually going to cost nothing. We anticipate that with approximately 4,000 probate cases to be filed in 2016, it would generate about $40,000, which would be more than ample to start the program. If one dies without a will and goes to an attorney will want $5,000 cash to begin the process of administration. And the process of administration costs on generally anywhere from $7,000 or $8,000 to as much as $15,000. So you readily can see, unless an estate is worth probably $20,000, most of which would be in liquid assets, attorneys won't touch these. One of the reasons they won't do that is because all of the money goes to attorney's fees to complete the administration, and there's no money left over for the heirs at law. Now, I've often compared this to a restaurant that serves a 6-course meal, and all you want or all you need is a bowl of soup. Well, a Tarrant County probate administrator would be able to deliver the soup. Now, we're going to start this slide program. Promise to be fast. The need for the project, again, is low-income residents cannot afford to hire an attorney. Often heirs are not able to sign a small estate affidavit. There is a method to collect small fees or small inheritances or small funds, but you have to have every heir at law sign it. And many families are dispersed across the United States. Some families are dysfunctional and estranged, and some are just whereabouts unknown. Also, small estate affidavits will not work when there is a minor child inherited. Public probate administrator is, again, the state's code 433 is the authorization. It does allow the county to add the $10, and the PPA is granted special procedures that no one else has to collect these small estates. Now, all money goes into the Tarrant County Treasury. None goes to the probate court, none goes to the county clerk. It all goes into the Treasury, and it would only be dispersed out of the Tarrant County Treasury by a court order signed by me. Investigation. The PPA can begin an investigation anytime he is advised that a Tarrant County resident has died, has left some assets, and there's no administration pending. The PPA can also find financial records and can open safe deposit box in hope of finding a will. The PPA can collect $5,000 or less and simply repay that money to those who are entitled to it with a court order, again, signed by me. For instance, funeral costs are a Class 1 claim. Often we have family members who have paid for funerals, or the county, and there is a small amount of money available which could be attached or could be received by the PPA and then the funeral expenses paid, and the balance would go into the registry of the court while we look for the heirs. Small estates. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that is one method in Texas, but it does take it takes a lot of paperwork and a lot of hunting and searching and corresponding with heirs at law. Often people just don't have the education or the resources to meet these demands. They pay their $253 filing fee for a small estate affidavit. They get instructions from whomever, usually probate court number 2 or from the law library, but they're unable to get together all of the information, and the small estate affidavit remains unapproved, and they have forfeited their filing fee. This would allow the PPA to take up and finish that small estate affidavit. Finally, if necessary and in the future, the PPA could be appointed to do a dependent administration. In the beginning, initially, we're not going to accept any cases that have real property. Perhaps in a homestead that goes directly to a spouse by court order, where there'd be no increment of time in which the county would have any responsibility for the property, would probably be an exception. Finally, my court investigator, Mr. Arnier, has volunteered to get this project started. He's not seeking any additional compensation. There will be a $100,000 surety bond to be posted according to the statute. I think that's probably better than self-insure, but that again will be not necessarily be my decision. Steve Fields, our court administrator, who's now the one that deals with the public and meets with the public about these cases, will be the one that will be the intake, and we'd like to have the project run for about 18 months. Very quickly now, I'm going to finally, we have been working on this with all the different agencies and the different departments of the government that have a role in this, and I believe we have attended to all the details to everybody's satisfaction. This project will provide a meaningful constituent service to low-income and modest-income Tarrant County citizens who are financially unable to collect inheritances due them by law. And just for a quick example, I'd like to read one of the, we have 7 cases waiting. First one is Gary. He's a resident of Grand Prairie. He died without a will, 2/27/15, without spouse or children. And his brother Andrew filed a small estate affidavit to recover $2,550 from the Bank of America. And it had to be signed by the other brother, Alex, who has been missing for 15 years. So right now he is stymied, and he paid for the funeral, and we can't reimburse him for the funeral because he can't find his brother. Now the PPA can go in there, collect that money, and upon documentation that this Gary has paid the funeral, he can be reimbursed, and he has signed this letter just for meaning here as extremely desperate veteran. Another one, James from Hearst, died in 2014. The county paid for his burial in the amount of $1,375 to Skyview Funeral Home. Now, his sister called to inquire that she was not able to locate James' 4 siblings in order to sign a small estate affidavit. And they're trying to recover $1,375 of $3,000. In other words, $3,000 is in an account. It cannot be reached. Public probate administrator could reach that $3,000, distribute the $1,375 back to the county, and then upon determining the heirs, divide the remaining amount among those heirs. I have 7 examples. I won't go any further with you, but you understand that these constituents need help, and we get probably 5 to 10 inquiries a week. I don't know that we could ever help them all. The plan is to do no more than 50 cases. We'd like to start 5 per month in the beginning. And with that, I've taken, I think, all of your time. Are there any questions? As you know, it's not for consideration today. I believe it would be an action item for next week.
I do think it's a worthy program. I'd like to see it go forward as a pilot and see how well we do.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
I do think it's a worthy project. Thank you for your leadership in this matter. I noticed that one of the offices that have not been coordinated with would be the district attorney office. Is this something that we need to make sure that we cover all bases as far as legal matters are concerned?
The DA has sent a representative to our meetings. It's not listed there, but in our initial meetings, the district attorney did have a representative present, and it was determined that, now, Ann Diamond wrote an opinion that my employee, Mr. Arnier, would be able to wear both of these hats as public probate administrator and court investigator because the duties do not in any way conflict or interface. So the district attorney has been involved in that component, as well as the initial meetings that we had with the treasurer and the budget and purchasing. But they declined, they sort of bowed out once they understood what the role of the PPA would be.
And the $10 fee, additional fee, would be assessed on every probate case?
Correct.
Every one of them, not just...
It would be all probate cases. It would be about 4,000 cases are filed each year, so it would be around $40,000.
So,
okay? Thank you.
assuming the success of the pilot program and the need to bring it to scale, where are we going to get the rest of the money from?
Well, we're going to try and document the results and be able to show cases in which we've genuinely helped people and who otherwise could not be helped. Now, there is a mechanism by which the county can receive the same commission that any other administrator would receive, which by law is 5% in and 5% out. So let's just say that for purposes of an easy example, someone dies without a will and without any relatives that can be located. The public administrator would open the administration, and let's just say they have some vacant land. Just don't get into the house or furniture. That vacant land can be sold for $100,000. The county would get a 5% commission on the sale of the land, and then the county would get 5% commission on the distributing of the funds to the heirs at law. So there is a mechanism built in that eventually, as well as these small administrations, the 5% is obviously insufficient. The court could set a reasonable fee. If the court decided that 1 hour of attorney's time or 2 hours of attorney's time at $125 an hour was a reasonable fee, there could be a county collection fee of $250 on this $3,000 estate. Now, it does cost money to do this. We are helping people, but the bill was designed to try and make the office be freestanding and pay for itself.
I would like to see us, during the 18-month period of the pilot, have these discussions about how we're going to finance bringing it to scale, because that's critical.
Well, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you for your interest.
Thanks, sir.
Finally, members of the court, on item C, this is a report on the 2015 annual report of AgriLife Extension. Dr. Jacobson is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Dr. Jacobson.
We appreciate this opportunity to come and share with you about our annual report for 2015. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the help of partners and volunteers and the residents. But as you know, our mission is to help residents of Tarrant County have a better life through custom-made educational programs based on community-identified needs and developed by volunteers. Last year, we had nearly 3,000 educational sessions in our areas of focus: improving nutrition and health, 4-H youth development, protecting the environment, strengthening families, supporting agriculture, and enhancing horticulture. And those educational sessions were developed by our program area committees. Those are committees that each of the agents have, and they're made up of partner agencies and organizations, community members, and end users that work together to design, develop, deliver and evaluate our educational programs. We had attendance of more than 75,000 people, and each of those people planned their schedules to come and learn in a group setting, most often in their neighborhood. Nearly 300,000 individual contacts were made. That's one-on-one contacts at health fairs, community fairs, site visits, office visits, phone calls, emails. But the numbers alone don't really tell the story. There's economically disadvantaged homemakers who, in part through FNEP, learn label reading and are able to save an average of $67 a month at the grocery store. There's a child who participated in 4-H and was able to develop confidence and develop from a shy, introverted youth to a strong leader that can conduct meetings of 50 people with using parliamentary procedure. And a young couple who learns money management skills and commits to live on one income. They both work, and they're later able to pay 25% down on their first home.
Wow.
A small acreage farmer who learns best management practices to enhance their yield and lower their costs. We're fortunate to have volunteers, and we're very fortunate across Tarrant County, not just in Extension, to have wonderful volunteers. And I think the Martin Luther King Day of Service yesterday was a good example of service and the volunteerism, the spirit of volunteerism in the county. But we have 1,100 volunteers that have come to us and asked, how can I help? And we're very fortunate to have that kind of support from the community. They serve as program area committee members, master gardeners, master naturalists, 4-H adult leaders, and master wellness volunteers. Each year, each agent administers a customer satisfaction survey. And last year, 373 surveys were completed. 94% rated Extension's customer service as very good or excellent. 96% would recommend Extension to others. And 100% would participate again in Extension. We work together with community agencies and organizations to provide better service to the people of Tarrant County. We're fortunate to work with 656 partner organizations through our different agents. I'd like to invite now Tisa Leggett from Blue Zones to come and talk a bit about our partnership with Blue Zones.
Thank you so much and good morning.
Good morning, Tisa.
Thank you, good morning. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension has been an incredible partner with Blue Zones Project Fort Worth, which is a well-being initiative designed to make healthy choices easier for our residents in Fort Worth. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension sits on our schools implementation committee, where we are trying to make healthy choices easier for our students. Just this past fall, we launched walking school buses, which is basically a route with students, with some adults, some chaperones, to walk cohesively in an organized manner to school. We would not have been able to be as successful as we were without the extension. They were able to help us provide stop signs, vests, and other great fun materials for the students alongside the Blue Zones Project. We plan to work together to sustain the walk-in school bus program, and the organization has just been extremely vital to our success because they've done it before, and they've always been willing to give us support, give us some ideas on how we can implement our programs better here in Tarrant County, specifically in Fort Worth. Secondly, as far as the collaborative piece, and I don't know about that customer satisfaction, I'd give it 100% to Dr. Jacobson. I would like to share an anecdotal story with you if I could. The nutritional education programs are extremely important here in Fort Worth. If we're trying to make healthy choices easier, we've got to know how to cook it, right? And so the Young Women's Leadership Academy of Fort Worth is one of many schools in Fort Worth who are striving to become a Blue Zones approved school. So we received a request at Blue Zones, a very interesting request. The teacher asked, hey, is there any way we can teach our seniors how to prepare food in a manner to where they are not going to gain that freshman 15? And I thought that was genius. I thought that was a really cute idea. Unfortunately, we don't have that type of program with Blue Zones Project, but I thought that would be a great collaborative piece yet. And all I had to do was call on A&M AgriLife Extension and say, how can we do, what can we do here? And they said, Tisa, we're right on it. There was no more questions. we got to work and we're able to implement a program at the Young Women's Leadership Academy to prevent that freshman 15. So I thought that was pretty cool. So just to let you know, that has been a very easy transition for us. They're at the table. They will continue to be at the table for the duration of our project of 5 years. Another aspect of the project is the Safe Routes to School Implementation Committee. So A&M AgriLife is actually at the table of two different committees. The Safe Routes to School, which is to try to increase the walkability around Fort Worth schools or campuses in Fort Worth, and they've been extremely instrumental in that as well in providing input. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today to talk about our partnership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa.
I'd like to thank you for your ongoing support and introduce a couple of our staff members. Marion Ross and Darlene Myatt are here today. Thank y'all for coming. I want to share just a couple of great things that are coming up in 2016. We have an online financial literacy class that's going to begin. We have a Green Pros series for commercial landscapers, healthy cooking schools that have been scheduled around the county in different places. We have 2 STEM grants from Lockheed Martin and Noyce Foundation that will help us reach more kids with science, technology, engineering, and math programming. We're going to take Walk Across Texas to the schools. And we also have a greenhouse project with the Resource Connection and Judy Ketchum, facilities and Goodwill Industries and others. So we appreciate very much your support, your investment, and we are committed to continue to serving the people of Tarrant County and hopefully to make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm disappointed in you that you didn't mention the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show.
The Tarrant County Junior Livestock.
And it's coming up.
It is coming
March the 5th.
It is.
And we've got to get these people off their duffs and come out and see what these kids and volunteers are doing.
It is. It's an amazing event. Very impressive.
That's his way of dunning us for our checks.
Invoices to follow.
And the invoices went out last week. So, but thank you very much for what y'all do.
Thank you, John.
March the 5th, right?
March the 5th.
Is that it?
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Then we will recess our open meeting and proceed to close to discuss items of section 551, 1071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Code.
What do you think the county?
Ethics Commission, huh?
The county stuff.
The county's on our website.
Where?
Under Elections Department.
I'll look confirm.
March 5th.
March 5th is what?
That's
Tarrant County
March
Junior
1st
Livestock
election,
Show.
March 2nd, get your checks written.
Is that one you need to check? March?
I got my letter.
I want your check before the end of this week. Our next Tuesday, you'll do.
Having returned from our closed session, we'll now proceed to address certain matters.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, a week ago to the Administrator Section Item 8A3, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve a settlement agreement style Martha Kibler versus Tarrant County, Texas, in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, Fort Worth Division.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Whoops, right, the button doesn't work. We got too many buttons up here, Chris. Motion passes unanimously.
That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you.
We have all these screens and we still go back to our old vote boards up there.
I can't believe y'all couldn't have done something.
Well, they haven't changed that out yet. I think it's just a...
It just doesn't fit in here.
I just want the sports bar. I want to know what sports channels we get in these things.
Just remember to get turn the machine on. Sport ball.
Come on, Duff, give us the, he'll probably pop up a few screens.
Are we done?
We done.
We need to adjourn.
We're adjourned.